Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Joining us on the line now is Millie Mackintosh. She's an entrepreneur, lifestyle influencer and Made in Chelsea alumni who openly shared her decision to go alcohol-free in 2022 after observing the impact drinking alcohol had on her health and well-being. Documenting her sober-curious journey in a powerful and relatable way unlocked significant conversations with her loyal following, creating a supportive, open community. Her book, Bad Drunk, co-written with Dr. Ellie Cannon, documents her personal experience and also offers highly practical guidance to readers also considering adopting a low or no alcohol lifestyle. Welcome to the show, Millie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. How is your Monday going? Apparently it's Blue Monday today.
I know, we're supposed to be depressed. I don't like it when people tell us to be depressed. I'm like, no, I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it's all going good. It's all going good. So, I'm really excited and really interested to hear about your journey. Take us back to, I guess, what your life was like when you were drinking and obviously some of the reasons that made you think you should stop.
Yeah, so for me, when I was growing up, I was always a binge drinker, and I think that's very common, and particularly in this country, it's kind of almost celebrated, even as young as teens, kind of this kind of binge drink culture. So that became kind of very normalized for me, but I was somebody that could never really tolerate alcohol. I used to always get hangovers that would last for days, feel so unwell the next day, and that didn't get better. If anything, it definitely got worse as I got older. And for me, I really struggled to moderate or, just have one. Some people can kind of leave it at one. Once I had one, wanted 100 drinks. And I was that person that probably everyone knows when they've had a few drinks, they get a bit sloppy, they fall over, they probably embarrass themselves. I was a bad drunk, and that's why I called my book Bad Drunk, but because I wanted to kind of break down the shame and stigma around having an issue with alcohol and making it okay to talk about it and making it more normalized to say, hey, I don't like how alcohol affects my life, and it's okay to choose to be sober. I spent so many years struggling to say no, even when I wanted to, because I felt the kind of pressure, the societal pressure, or somebody would always say, come on, just have one, don't be boring. We've all heard it. And eventually, after I had my kids, I just was like, I just don't like how this is affecting my life. I don't like how it's making me act. I don't like how I feel the next day. I don't like how it's stealing my time. And particularly, I couldn't deny the effects on my mental health, the negative effect it was having on my mental health. And that's ultimately what pushed me to, try alcohol-free living. And I set myself the challenge of doing a year. And after a year, I just didn't want to go back.
Wow, amazing. It's interesting what you say about hangovers and how normal it is for so many people to be drinking, even if it's just at the weekend, let's say, binge drinking, as you said you experience, that a lot of people do, and having these awful hangovers where they feel utterly horrendous and sick and ill, and yet go and do it all again the following weekend and consistently do it.
That would be me. It would be like, okay, on the Monday, feeling awful from the, kind of that like 2-day hangover, still feeling awful from the weekend, still maybe on Tuesday, still not feeling great. But then kind of by Thursday, you'd be feeling fine again and ready to kind of do all the damage again. And you're just kind of in this like cycle.
It's mad, isn't it? Because for people like yourself who've stopped drinking, or maybe people who have never really been bothered about drinking, must look at people who are doing that and being like, what are you doing? Why, if you did something else that wasn't drinking, something, I don't know, if you ran into a wall and really hurt yourself, you'd be like, well, I'm not going to do that again because that really hurts. Your brain and your body learns from making these mistakes, particularly when they hurt you physically, so you don't do them again. But yet with drinking and bad hangovers, people consistently do it.
Yeah, I do not miss the hangovers, that's for sure. And parenting I've heard lots of people say this, but like parenting combined with a hangover is an absolute no-no.
Yeah.
Like that is hell.
Yeah, it must have made parenting that much more enjoyable, and being able to be present and appreciate motherhood when you are sober, not drinking and not worrying about hangovers.
Definitely. I love the weekends. I love getting up early, being up early with the kids, like, making some pancakes, whatever, just not having a headache, just being happy to be up and having that time with them. And I think back, I must have spent literally years of my life hungover.
Yeah.
When you calculate all the time. And you have like a lot more energy to do things. I find, you've got kind of, without the hangover, you've got energy to maybe try new things or to do the workout that you'd always bail on, or, have more creative ideas. It's really life-changing.
Yeah. A lot of people talk about having more time because you haven't got that day in bed feeling ill. You can wake up early, normal time, and you have a whole day to do whatever you want every weekend because you've never got that hangover.
Yeah, I would say it's made me completely shift my mindset, and I've become definitely a morning person. I even kind of get up at 5 a.m. some mornings just so I can get more done. And that would have been me before.
No, amazing. And one of the things that a lot of people are concerned about, if they are worried about maybe the fact that they're drinking too much and thinking about drinking less, a lot of people are nervous about their friendship groups. If all their friends drink, and when you get together, it's normal for everybody to be drinking and dancing, and it's all part of the going out culture. And people think, well, how can I be the only one that doesn't drink? But sometimes it does involve finding new friends to socialise with and doing different things.
It does. I think it depends on the person. I know some people find that they can go out without alcohol and they don't get that tired and they've got energy and they can stay up quite late still. That is not me. I really wanted it to be me. I am not going to be the last one at the party. I've kept my really best friends through it, that, they've stayed in my life because I never needed alcohol to enjoy their company or to be accepted by them. There are more, I guess, party friends that have fallen by the wayside, but I've also made new friends, actually new friends who don't drink. And, we have our embarrassingly early dinners. I mean, I'm not embarrassed by it. We go for dinner at as soon as the restaurant's open, we are there. It's is it open at 5:30? We'll be the first ones in there. And I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah, brilliant. And so what are some of the other things that you've had to adjust to that were kind of difficult at the time that probably aren't now?
So early on, I did find social anxiety difficult because I realised without alcohol that actually at big social occasions, I felt, uncomfortable. And that was quite hard to get over. It took me a bit of time. I'd say maybe the first 6 months, it did feel quite tricky going to large social gatherings. But I found arriving early helped, finding a few key people that I could talk to, or even just one person that I knew well. I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick with them. That can be my wingman. Having a plan. And if I felt too uncomfortable or thought I might be tempted to drink, I just left.
Yeah.
Giving myself permission to just put myself first and not put myself in situations that were going to be too challenging.
Yeah.
I think you have to kind of be realistic about what you can handle without alcohol, particularly if it's something you've been using as a crutch for a long time. And then there's things like other people's opinions about it, because you're kind of holding up a mirror to people when you tell them you're no longer drinking, and often can make people uncomfortable, and then they might try to encourage you to have a drink, they might question it. So I think being prepared for that, maybe having something up your sleeve that you can say. You absolutely don't have to tell anyone your reasons why you're not drinking. That is your own business. You can if you want to, but at the beginning, I think to make myself more comfortable, sometimes I would just say, I'm just doing a detox, or I'm on antibiotics, or I had something I would just say, and then no one would question it. But it's crazy really that we have to justify not drinking a toxin, but it's so normalized.
Yeah. And people can do it with food as well. If you're trying to eat healthy and you're with someone and they're having donuts and you're like, oh, no, thanks. I'd rather get a smoothie or whatever. And they'll be like, no, have a donut. And it's like, no, I don't want a donut.
Yeah, you're like, no, just let me stay in my lane.
Exactly. And I think it is totally what you said about putting a mirror up to people. It's people kind of feeling maybe bad or guilty about their own habits and then feeling better about themselves or less guilty if the person that they're with is joining in with their bad habits, which is so bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like they want to take you down with them. They like join in. But I think for me, it's got easier over time as I've felt more confident in my decision to not drink, to kind of deal with, other people saying things. And I don't judge. I have no issue with other people drinking. It's very much like, you do what works for you. I'm doing what works for me. I have no issue being around people that are drinking. But if I'm at a party, probably past 10 p.m., I'm out of there. Because as soon as people start getting a couple of drinks in, a bit repetitive, a bit in my personal space, really loud, I'm not having fun anymore.
No, that makes perfect sense. And another thing you talk about in the book is non-alcoholic drinks. And I know quite a few people who don't drink, and some of them don't go anywhere near non-alcoholic drinks, and others literally have them all and kind of work their way through. What are your thoughts on them?
I totally understand that for some people it's really triggering to have something that reminds them of alcohol. I personally don't want to drink a non-alcoholic drink that tastes like alcohol at all. So my favourites are, kind of going for the kombucha. I love drinks, like something low sugar that's like tastes good, that's refreshing, that's fizzy. You can put it in a nice glass. There are some mocktails that I like, kind of like a virgin mojito. I just ask for it with no sugar. A virgin Paloma is really good as well. It depends where I am. There are so many good alternatives. Some people really like the alcohol-free champagnes or wines. There's like even Guinness that's alcohol-free that I've heard tastes really good. I think it depends on your preference because it's really a personal thing what you like to drink. Yeah. But I don't want to just have a water, so I always bring something with me. And there's some really good alcohol-free spirit brands that aren't trying to taste like spirits, but they've kind of got lots of botanical ingredients that could actually like lift your mood, give you more energy, make you feel more talkative, that you can use in a social situation. And it's literally just plant extracts that maybe make you feel like you've got a bit of a buzz going on, but it's kind of one that's not going to give you a hangover.
Yeah, nice. It's amazing how many more alternatives there are around. Only in the last 6 months, I think, I've seen a massive increase in all the different varieties of every type of drink that you can get. It's really amazing.
I know, compared to like 10 years ago, you know, you think just be like a Diet Coke or a fizzy water.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is how I think when the idea of what you said earlier about leaving a party early, one of the things you talk about in the book, which I can relate to various friends doing similar things, is leaving without the importance of being able to leave without saying goodbye. Mm-hmm. Because especially after people have had a few drinks, leaving a venue, a loud venue, can take ages to go because everyone's like, oh, why are you going? No, don't go, and it's all a big nightmare to try and leave, especially when they're drinking and you're not. So you don't need to go around and say goodbye to everybody.
Just leave. And if you feel too uncomfortable, just kind of say you're going to the bathroom and then sneakily leave, or you're just going to get some air or something, and then you're out of there.
Exactly. And you can always send people a message afterwards just explaining why you went, and that's fine. And if they're your friends, they should totally understand.
Exactly. When you get home and you're tucked up in bed knowing they're all going to be out for another couple of hours, it's quite a
win.
It's like winning.
Yeah. And something that I also find fascinating is how the choice to not drink or to drink less, but I think primarily to stop drinking completely, has become more and more common. Again, I've noticed it just in the last couple of years, how more and more people are doing it, not because they're necessarily were big drinkers or alcoholics necessarily, just people who are making better choices, caring more about their health and their lifestyle. And I think it's amazing how it's much more socially acceptable to be a non-drinker now.
I think things are really shifting, particularly with the younger generation as well, and the choices that they're making. They're just more wellness focused, and people are a lot more conscious actually what they're consuming, what they're putting in their bodies. Everyone's thinking a lot more about their health, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Where we are on the Costa del Sol in Marbella over the last year, there's been more and more gyms that have been popping up that are like wellness centres. Yeah. So they're not just places that you go and exercise, you'd go and have a sauna or cryotherapy, and they're hundreds of euros a month. And I remember when they first started thinking, God, why are people paying 300 euros a month for a gym when, most normal gyms are 60 euros or 80 euros? But it's because it's a lot of young people, and they're not drinking. They're not going out to the pub on a Friday night. They're not spending hundreds of euros a month or a week on alcohol. Instead, they'd rather spend that money on being fit and well and healthy. And it's like, well, that's a much better thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm all for it. You'll probably find me in a sauna instead of, you won't find me in a bar. That's where I'll be. Yeah. At the gym or sauna.
Yeah, nice to see. And have you got, I know you said you have kept a lot of the core friends and also found new friends. Have you found the way that you socialise and the different things that you do to be quite different to how they used to be?
Yeah, so on the weekend now, instead of kind of going out for a night out, it might be let's go to a yoga class or a sound bath, or let's just go for a run or a walk or brunch. Also, I love to do something wellnessy with a friend and then combine it with a meal.
Yeah.
Kind of go and do something that makes you feel good together, and then go and eat something delicious. That always feels like a treat. Or just getting out in nature more with people, making plans to do things outside, I really love.
Yeah. And nice with the kids as well, getting together with other families and kids.
Yeah, exactly. My weekends definitely look very different than they did kind of 6 years ago.
Yeah. And do you look back, do you kind of wish that maybe you started this journey earlier, or do you think that for whatever reason it all happened at the right time for you?
I do wish I had discovered this earlier. I think I knew in my 20s that alcohol, even younger than my 20s, I knew that alcohol was quite destructive for me, but it just took me a long time to actually get to a place of being able to say no and feeling strong enough in myself. But I think looking back on my younger self, I'm just like, oh God, just, went through so much and I made so many problems for myself that I wish I could have avoided. But I'm just glad I can now set a good example for my kids as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess a lot of people think the issues with alcohol, they think, oh, well, I'm not an alcoholic. It's not like I wake up in the morning and reach for a bottle of whiskey, or they'll know someone who drinks a lot more than they do. So they'll go, well, clearly I don't have a problem because...
You go, yeah, I'm not that bad. So
exactly.
I think thinking that you don't have a bad enough problem to stop is something that keeps a lot of people stuck in this unhealthy relationship with alcohol, because they just think, well, yeah, maybe I drink too much, but I'm not an alcoholic, so I don't have a reason to stop. But you don't need to have a reason to stop. You can just say no. You can just choose a life without it, or just try being sober curious, try cutting back, try a month without alcohol. I always say to people, you're never going to look back and regret the month you didn't drink.
Yeah. Yeah, and, there'll be plenty of people who are drinking every day, but not to excess. So they'll be convincing themselves, well, it's not like I drink to get drunk. I just drink because I like the taste of it. I want a glass of wine with my dinner each night. There'll be people in that camp who justify, well, it's not like I do it to get drunk. And others who maybe don't drink during the week. So they think, well, clearly I don't have a problem because I can go through the week without drinking, but then drink way too much at the weekend.
Yeah, well, that was me. I think, it's so different for each person, and how much alcohol a person can tolerate is also very different person to person, because we're all just genetically so different. So there's not a one rule fits all. And I think some people out there can have a healthy relationship with alcohol. and others can't. But it's interesting, there has been studies done on alcohol now, and if it was invented now, it wouldn't pass kind of any of the safety tests. It would be like the amount you'd be recommended that it was safe to drink a year is less than one glass in a year.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it? And what about, can I ask you just a personal question, but what the situation was with your partner when you gave up drinking? Because that's always something that other people worry about. If they want to stop drinking, but maybe their partner's a big drinker, that could cause an issue.
Yeah. I think he's not really a big drinker, and he was supportive. He, agreed that it would be a good idea for me to stop. And he doesn't drink a lot at home, but I actually haven't really had an issue with alcohol being in the house. I think because he's not a big drinker, it hasn't really been a problem for us. If he wants to kind of go for a night out, he does that with his mates, and I'm not usually there. So if he does get quite drunk, I'm not normally there to see it, because it could possibly be annoying. But we can go out and he'll have a drink and I won't, and that's totally fine with me. But I think it really depends on the person.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you've just got to hope that you've got a supportive partner, and the fact that they're not necessarily on the same journey as you've got to try and make it work. And if it really doesn't work, then I suppose you need to ask questions about the relationship, I guess. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's worked for you. And if people want to get a copy of Bad Drunk, it's available now on our website, TRE.radio, and it's by Millie Mackintosh, who we've been chatting with today. Millie, thanks so much for joining us. Great to chat with you.
Thank you so much. Lovely to chat. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.